Nowadays, compact cars are becoming more and more a niche vehicle market, with SUVs lording all over the streets and subcompact cars appealing to a younger set of car buyers. Manufacturers of compact cars now have to turn to body creases, turbos, and fake vents just to make their compact cars more appealing to buyers. But not Mazda. You see, the company practices the saying, less is more. And that's exactly what Mazda did with the new, all-new 2020 Mazda 3 that I have here. And today, we're going to review it. Let's go! But before we begin, I'd like to extend a special shout out and thank you to Mazda Makati for helping me out with this review. I'm right here now in Mazda Makati, where I have with me this very beautiful looking Polymetal gray Sportback Mazda 3. Now for any of your Mazda needs, head on to Mazda Makati right now and inquire on these wonderfully beautiful cars. Now let's begin. So what I have here is the 2020 Polymetal Gray Sportback Mazda 3 model. Now, we call it Sportback, but because Mazda decided to do away with the name hatchback. Why? Because Mazda wants to differentiate their sedan models from the hatchback models. The way they're doing it is the sedan model is more of like the executive style vehicle, while the Sportback I have here is the sportier type vehicle. So Mazda is positioning their sedans, the Mazda 3 sedan, to appeal to the young executives out there who wants a more executive looking car without really paying the executive looking price. Now, for the Sportback model, Mazda wants to appeal to the sporty, active buyers out there, and hence that's why we have the 2020 Polymetal Gray Sportback model here, because personally I am a little bit on the sporty side. First up, let's talk about the body style, because right now there's so much discussion about the Sportback's body styling, about how, you know, there's a camp saying it's beautiful, there's a camp saying that it just looks weird because of the way the quarter panel, especially the rear quarter panel, has been sculpted. But what I could say here right now is, if you've seen the Mazda 3 Sportback on a video like this one or on photos, I could tell you that the Mazda 3 Sportback is not photogenic at all. It's not telegenic. It doesn't look as good on video or on photos as how it looks in person. And right now, standing right beside her, I could see that this Mazda 3 Sportback is a beauty. It's a looker. I love how the long hood would like rake over and then point downwards into a more aggressive angle. And I love how the rear quarter panel finishes into a more, I would say it looks very organic, if there's such a thing. But yeah, it just works, it just flows. Now, this unit I have right now is a Polymetal Gray. This is Mazda's newest signature color, following Soul Red, following Soul Red Crystal, and now we have Polymetal Gray for 2020. Now, Polymetal Gray, if you look at it, you'd think, you know, gray, one of the dullest colors on the color palette that you could ever find. But somehow, Mazda's paint engineers were able to come up with a gray that doesn't look gray. In fact, looking at her right now, looking at the car, I would say she's more like a blue to me. And then there are some angles in the light, in the sunlight, that it would change colors, and that is one of the beauties and magic of Mazda's paint engineers, the way they make the color dance in the light and dance with the shadows. And Polymetal Gray, it's not a flat gray, all right? Honestly, I really find it to be a little bit more bluish than gray, or maybe just from my viewing angle right now, it looks very blue. Moving on to the grille, you would notice that Mazda has done away with that gaping mouth grille that seems so 2010. Rather, right now they have, it's still a big grille, but it's not that gaping, not that in your face, and they change the grille mesh to something a little bit more premium. It's a very nice look, and for the Sportback, they have black finish accents, while the sedan, the more executive sedans of the Mazda 3 has the chrome finish. Personally, I prefer the all black finish of the front fascia because it really gives more of that sporty vibe, but then that's just me. Moving on to the rear, you will notice that less is more Kodo design that Mazda has done for the Mazda 3 follows into the rear. There's really not too much body creases, there's not too much lines, it's like just one big organic mass. And if you'll notice, there's really no way how you could open the rear hatch. For the Miata, it's a button hidden here at the plate area, but there's nothing here. You will see Mazda has cleverly hidden the trunk release button for the Mazda 3 Sportback, and it also applies for the sedan as well. You'll see the logo here, right here, and what you do, there's a button there under the logo, and what you do is you just press the button and pop open the trunk. And when you pop open the trunk, you have the cover just goes up with the whole thing, and that gives you a pretty decent opening right here. Looking at the opening of the trunk, there's really nothing special about it. It's a pretty decent sized trunk for a Sportback or a hatchback in the compact car segment. You'd be able to fit a week's run of groceries here, or maybe even a smallish golf bag. Now, if you notice, there is no way that you could also push this down. Instead, you have to go inside and push a button there to push the rear seats back so that you could put in larger items. Looking at the Mazda 3 Sportback's key fob, it's a very elegant looking key fob, and you could see that you have the Mazda logo here. And when they gave this to me, I wanted to open the car using the key fob, but looking at it, it's just a logo and some numbers here, but there's really nothing that you can find to press the button. And it was only pointed out to me that the buttons, the lock and unlock button, can be found at the side. There you go. And this is a very elegant execution of the key fob. It feels very upscale, so you can lock and unlock it using the buttons here at the side. Another interesting feature, a fun fact that I discovered in the new Mazda 3 Sportback and also the sedan, is it has side mirrors that think on its own. Now, how does it think on its own? Right now the car is unlocked. See, it's unlocked. We can open it, open the door, see? And now when you close it, and I press the lock button on the fob, so you press the lock button, notice the side mirror folds by itself. Wow, what a convenience, right? And when you come to the car to unlock it, so we're going to unlock the car right now, press the key fob, so it's unlocked, it goes back to its open position, and you can just drive off in your new Mazda 3. Talk about technology in Mazda. I mean, never seen that before. Moving on to the wheels, for the premium variant of the Mazda 3, both Sportback and sedan, we have 18 inches wrapped in 215/45 R18s. Now, when I found out it's a 215/45, the first thing that came to my mind was, wow, those are skinny tires. Could be found more on 17-inch wheels, but we have 18-inch wheels here. Now, I have a feeling it's a twofold purpose for Mazda, why they chose skinnier tires for their Mazda 3. Well, number one, it gives you better fuel economy because there's less tire rolling resistance, and number two, it gives you a sharper turn-in and hence sharper handling compared to its wider tire counterparts. Moving on to the engine, we have here a 2-liter Skyactiv G engine that's rated for 154 horsepower. Now, some of you might think that the other markets get the higher output of 180 horsepower, but frankly, if you're going to drive this in Manila city traffic, 155 horsepower or 154 horsepower is more than enough to motivate the Mazda 3 to go from where you are to where you want to go. So far, as of this video, there is still no indicator if Mazda Philippines will bring in the much vaunted Skyactiv X engine. In fact, it's a very new engine, so right now Mazda Philippines has decided to just stick with the tried and true Skyactiv G 2-liter engine for the premium variant, and we have the 1.5-liter Skyactiv G engine for the elite variants. Moving on to the inside of the car, you'll see that the seats are made of really nice leather, supple leather, and for the premium variant, you have the driver with the power seats right here. But since it's a compact car, only the driver's seat is all power. The passenger seat will have to make do with manual adjustment instead of all power. When you go inside the cabin, you're treated to the less is more mantra that Mazda employed on the Mazda 3. You got a sleek, sophisticated dashboard right here with leather upholstery, and all the variants, including of course the premium variant, come with automatic climate control, and you have your 6-speed automatic transmission. There are no manual transmission variants for the Mazda 3 that would come to the Philippines, but even if this is a 6-speed transmission, it's not a CVT, and you have a sport mode right here that you could use. And when you toggle the sport mode on, you will see on your instrument panel that the sport word is there. Now, despite having an automatic transmission, it also sports paddle shifters that you could find behind the steering wheel, and you still have your standard buttons here for controlling volume, for the source of your infotainment system, answering calls, and your cruise control that could be found here. Now, moving to the side of the vehicle, you will see that there are a group of buttons that can be found here. You have here your iStop off button to turn off the iStop if you don't want the car's engine to die down on you during a full stop. You got traction control off button, parking sensor off button, and you got this. What is this? It says view. Now, if you press this view button, go to your infotainment screen, and you will see, wow, this Mazda 3 is equipped with a rear camera right there in the center, and to the side you will see here a mock-up of the vehicle and a view of all 4 sides of the vehicle, giving you a 360-degree view of everything around your car, and you can turn it on just by pressing that view button. Okay, so pressing the view button once gives you a front view of the car, and it gives you the 360-degree view. This is while you're on park mode, but if you put it on reverse mode, the view now changes to the rear camera, but still gives you a 360-degree view of the vehicle. Now let's put it back in park. So going back in park, that removes the camera again. So we're going to press the view again, and you have the front camera once again out on the screen, but you press the view again and you have a different angle, okay, showing you exactly what's in front of your vehicle, just in case you don't want to hit that parking bump stop when you're parking with your car facing forward. Now you press the view again, and you have here another view showing you the sides of the car, just in case you are parking into a very tight spot. Now, how you're gonna get out of that tight spot once you've parked your car, that's your problem, but this camera view will show you exactly what's at the sides of your car. Now you press the view button again and it takes you back to the infotainment system. Now aside from the 360-degree camera view that you have here, the Mazda 3 Premium is also equipped with front and rear sensors to further aid you when it comes to parking or negotiating tight spots. Something that you can truly appreciate, especially when you're driving in the tight streets of Manila. Looking at the infotainment system, you will notice that it is a very simple, yet I find it very elegant and very sophisticated as well. There's nothing of the usual colors and the usual widgets and stuff. It's just a white font on a black screen. And frankly, I would say that I find this quite refreshing, especially in today's times when, you know, manufacturers just want to cram everything into the infotainment system. In fact, there are some car makers that even put the aircon controls, climate control controls on the infotainment system, which personally I find it really weird and kind of crazy. But for Mazda, they really went with less is more, even with the infotainment system. But there is nothing less about the speakers that you can find in the Sportback, because the Sportback comes equipped with a 12-speaker Bose sound system, including a subwoofer that can be found tucked into the spare tire. Now imagine driving a compact car like this and sporting 12 speakers. The acoustic experience would be way up there. And speaking of speakers, you'll notice that on the door you only have the tweeter that's mounted on the door. When you go down and look for the mid-range speaker, the mid-range woofer, there is nothing that could be found there. Instead, you have the usual compartment where you could put some stuff, and there's nothing, there's no speaker. So where did Mazda put the door woofers in this case? Well, apparently Mazda relocated the door woofers into the dashboard. I don't think I could show it to you here in this video, but apparently the door woofers can be found underneath the dashboard, and by doing so, Mazda removed a large hole on the doors, and that improved the NVH levels of this vehicle by a lot. For gadget charging duties, you have a sole USB port that can be found right here underneath the automatic climate control of the car. Presumably this is to be for the driver's use, because you could plug your cable right here and access your Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, which are both standard for the Mazda 3 Premium. Now for the passenger side, you go right here to the center console. You just open the storage, push it back like that, pull it up, and you will see, there you go, you have a 12-volt charger that you can find there, and another USB port for the passenger of the car. Now, unlike the SUV brothers of the Mazda 3, this Mazda 3 does not have USB charging ports at the second row of the car. So sorry to the rear passengers, you can't charge your gadgets. Another quirk that I noticed with the new Mazda 3 Sportback is how the side mirrors would automatically go down whenever you're putting the car in reverse. So as you can see right now, it's in normal position. So what I will do is I will put her down on reverse. Okay, hold on. I'll put it on reverse, and you can see the mirror slightly moved downwards, which will help guide you when you're backing up. Now when I put it on park, that's on park, you see the side mirrors went back to its original position. I mean, look at the attention to detail that Mazda has given the Mazda 3. I find it really nice. Let me do it again. Okay, I'm putting it on reverse. And then I'm putting it in park. That is so cool. Now, aside from the premium upscale feel of the entire dashboard and the entire interior of the Mazda 3, all Mazda 3 Sportbacks, whether it's a base variant that comes to the Philippines or the premium or even the top range speed variant, come with their own sunroof. So you got a sunroof here. Something that is also really not being spec'd in a compact car segment that could be found in the Philippines. Moving to the back seat of the Mazda 3 Sportback, you will see that it has a decent amount of legroom. It's, you know, it's pretty par for the course. It's the same. It's decent for a compact car. And yeah, I noticed though that you got a rear seat pocket holder here on the passenger side, but you got nothing here on the driver's side. So yeah, that is a funny feature of this Mazda 3. You could put some stuff here on the passenger side, but you can't put anything on the driver's side. Maybe because if you put something on the driver's side, the driver might feel it and might get distracted. It might affect his driving performance. Yeah, but well, yeah, this is quite a comfortable place to be in. The driver's seat is now adjusted to somebody of my height, so yeah, it's pretty comfortable. Let me close the door, find out. Yep, it is quite comfortable. There's really, you know, nothing out of the ordinary that I could say about the rear seat, except that the leather is very nice. Headroom is also pretty good, at least for somebody like me who's 5'6". I would imagine somebody who's above 6 feet might find the rear passenger space to be a little bit cramped. AC is pretty good, especially since you also have two AC vents that can be found here at the center area of the rear passenger seat. So now that we've seen the inside of the Mazda 3 Sportback and we've gone around the entire car, it's now time to take her out for my initial driving impressions of how she feels on the road. So let's go and take her out for a drive. Okay, so time for my driving impressions, my initial driving impressions of the Mazda 3 Sportback. Now, driving the car now in slow-going traffic, the first thing that I notice is the forward visibility of this car is pretty good. Despite being a raked-back hatchback, the angle of the windshield is pretty steep, pretty deep, yet the visibility is still pretty good. Okay, yeah. Let's take her out here. Let's see how she performs in this area. It's a new road. Whoa, all right. Sport mode, still in automatic position, still very good. Yeah, power delivery is linear, exactly what you'd expect from a naturally aspirated Skyactiv engine. This is not a turbo engine, so that makes it very linear in delivery of its power. All right, let's try it again. Push down, let's go. Yep. It's not harsh. And let's see, cornering. Cornering is, wow, now that is surprising. Cornering capabilities of the Mazda 3 Sportback is pretty good. I didn't feel any, any instability there, and stability control didn't even kick in. Let's see, come into the corner, hit the apex, let's go. Yeah, whoop. And brake. Very good. Brake is pretty good. Handling, cornering, it's very engaging. This is an engaging car to drive. I mean, when I reviewed the CX-5 a few months ago, I said it had soul, and I guess, you could say that for pretty much all of Mazda's lineup. It's comfortable enough for the daily commute, but if you want to have fun, you want to break it down, you could easily do that. Nice. If there's one complaint I'm going to cite, it's the fact that the design of the hood, since it slopes downward into a more aggressive stance, I really couldn't see the hood. From my sitting position right now, I couldn't see it. So you really just have to be careful when it comes to, you know, managing the distance between yourself and the car ahead of you. Because yeah, I couldn't see the hood. Or maybe I just got used to my car, my Scarlett, my MX-5, where you could see the front fenders, but this one can't see anything. Feels like you're driving a van with no nose. So if there's one complaint, it's probably just that you know, you just have to make sure that you could estimate the distance of the front bumper with the car in front of you. Just keep a safe and good distance, guys. We're still on sport mode. Don't even need to use the paddles. You know, this thing, the computer box on this Mazda 3 is very intuitive already. I don't even think you'd need to use paddles unless you're probably driving it on the track. Otherwise, this car is very, very intuitive already in sport mode. I don't think I'd even remove it from sport mode when I'm driving it. It's that adaptive. Right now we're going through very slow traffic. We're still in sport mode, but the engine doesn't rev that much. So I think it thinks for you already. It's that smart of a car. Okay, another thing that I have to say as well is just how quiet it is inside this cabin. I mean, it's chaotic outside. There's a lot of cars, there's a lot of traffic, and yet it's so quiet. It's so quiet. The NVH levels of the Mazda 3 Sportback would probably rival those of the same NVH levels as like the Camry or other executive sedans or even the Mazda 6. Wow. What Mazda did with the NVH levels of the 3 is right up there. I mean, it's crazy. It's so quiet. It is so quiet that the only danger that you could probably encounter in such a quiet cabin is that on a long drive, your entire family would sleep on you. While you're driving, everyone would be knocked out, sleeping, snoring, because this is such a quiet, comfortable cabin. It's another thing that you wouldn't expect in the compact car class. Wow. So overall, yes, this is a great commuter car, one that would take you to your groceries without much fuss, but at the same time, this is also a great car for if you want to have an engaging and fun drive. Wow. I will have to say, you know, Mazda really killed it with the Mazda 3. This is a great car. It's a great car. You're getting a lot of car for the price. So there you have it, everyone. We just took the Mazda 3 Sportback out for a drive, and I must say that it gave an engaging drive. It handled really well. It also felt that it had soul, the same soul that the MX-5 has, the CX-5 has. You know, Mazda really put a lot into the driving dynamics of their vehicles, and the Mazda 3 Sportback is no different. But there's one thing different about the Mazda 3 Sportback, and probably also the sedan, that differentiates it from its stable mates in the Mazda stable is the level of NVH and comfort that Mazda put into this car. I mean, wow, it was so quiet, it was so refined. It's something that I normally would just expect in a premium executive sedan, and Mazda was able to pull it off when it came to the Mazda 3 Sportback. Now, if you are interested to know about the pricing of the Mazda 3 Sportback, the Sportback retails for 1,510,000 pesos, and for that amount of money, you get a lot of car that is chock full of tech, chock full of comfort, and chock full of character and engagement. I never knew that a car manufacturer could pull it off and put everything together in one package. And when it came to the Mazda 3 Sportback, I guess Mazda did pull it off. Anyway, I hope you guys like this car review and my videos. If you like it, please subscribe to my channel and hit that like button. If there's any other thing or discussion that you want to do about the Mazda 3, please hit me in the comments below. I'll see you again in the next video. Bye-bye.